Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the seminar. I am Mansi Said, and I head the New York office for Nishith Desai Associates. Thank you all for coming. We are very glad that you could join us today. But before we begin, there's a small technical announcement that Carl would like to make about the use of the microphones during the sessions.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please take a moment to mute your mobile device. Please mute your mobile device so we don't have any ringing. Now, a quick lesson on the microphone in front of you. You'll see there's a button in the center. If you push that button, it lights up in red. That means your microphone is prepared for speaking. Good test over there. Okay, 6 microphones will light up simultaneously, meaning that 6 people of the room can speak. Try not to step on each other. When you're finished talking, hit the button, the red light goes out, and then other people can speak. Is that clear? Thank you very much. Let's have a great day.
Thank you, Carl. On that note, I'd like to invite the founder and the managing partner of Nishith Desai Associates, Nishith Desai himself, to introduce our keynote speaker and the panels and start the seminar.
So good afternoon. Thank you so much. Welcome to this afternoon session. I know you all have had nice lunch, so perhaps some people may want to take a little sleep, but you can do so while keeping your eyes wide open. So that's the only condition that we have at this place. But it's a real delight to see you all. We are very pleased with the response. This thing just started a little while ago, and we thought it would be useful to discuss how India is and what's happening, and we thought to take a little pulse of people like you. And at a short notice, we started to organize this event. And we thought there'll be 40, 50, 60 people. We got about 167 registrations today. And unfortunately, what happened was that there was some goof up on the address. And there are 2 Westin hotels, one here and one near Grand Central. And the hotel manager, she manages both the hotels. So her address was the other one. So in earlier invite, it went off with a previous address. And so some people may have landed up on that side. So we're just giving a little concession for people to come here, and they will be directed to come down here. But in the meanwhile, it's my real pleasure to welcome you at this event, and because deal making has now been a major part of India transactions, and we'll deal with that as we go along. But before I go into those details, what I thought would be most fitting for us would be to listen to His Excellency our Consul General of India, Mr. Daneshwar Mule. He has been such a great supporter. I tell you, it's amazing. Every time we have done event, no formalities, and he's been one of the, I tell you, my heart goes out, and very respected, very, very humble, in spite of the fact that he is a very accomplished, ambassador, and he has served in external ministries in Tokyo, Moscow, Port Louis, and many other places. And in addition, he's also a well-known Marathi author, so which is another interesting thing. And we would love to hear about what you'll be doing sometime, sir, because that part of your story is not known to many people. So when you speak to us, tell us a little bit about the other side that you have. And in addition, apart from Marathi, he's also, his books have been translated into Karnataka, Arabic, Urdu, and Divehi, these different languages. So, his interest goes into all the literature and literary kind of thing. Did you attend, sir, Jaipur Literary Fest this time or not? I think it would be wonderful to have you sometime over there. And so I don't want to go too long. but he will be able to tell about what's happening in India. He's much more qualified to speak on the subject, and he would have all the ideas about not only economics, but perhaps the politics or the social issues or whatever it is, and we would love to have a few words from you, sir. So may I request our Consul General, Honorable, Ambassador Daneshwar Mulay, and welcome, sir. Thank you.
Namaste and good afternoon to all of you. What a pleasure meeting you again. I think most of you have seen me perhaps here on the platform created by Nishith Desai Associates. Absolutely, you're absolutely right. I am a bit of a poet and a writer, so I really don't know much of deal making. That makes I deal with words, I deal with expressions, I deal with nuances, I deal with hidden meanings, I deal with meanings between the lines. So it's very difficult for me to understand anything that is related to, deal making, mergers and acquisitions. And in your world, it seems, even the simple words like poem, P-O-E-M, acquires a new meaning, place of effective management. Yes. I couldn't have imagined in my wildest dreams that such terms do exist. But one knows that today window doesn't mean window. It is Windows of Microsoft. Today soft doesn't mean really soft. It is almost invisible in our lives. So meanings of words are changing, and so is India. You see remarkable changes that are happening in India right now. And even though I claim to represent my country, I'm not sure I could quite catch those changes that are happening right now in words. Sometimes the changes happen so fast that we don't realize. We have, for example, this stereotype concept that governments are inefficient, public sectors are not very good in delivery. And I'll narrate you an example right here that happened on September 27th. Our Prime Minister was to address a crowd of about 40,000 people in San Francisco around 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock that evening. And I got a news from my colleague in Air India here locally that Air India has decided to introduce the first direct flight from New Delhi to San Francisco. Now, I was delighted because the word San Francisco was there, and right there, Prime Minister was in that city, and I was very keen that it has to be announced by the Prime Minister. But all of you know how governments work and how bureaucracy works and how decision making works and how the drafts of the speeches of the PM or any dignitary are prepared. So I wasn't quite sure that this will actually see the light of the day, or rather see the words of expression of the Prime Minister himself. So I called my ambassador who was with the Prime Minister and said that, sir, this is the thing. So ambassador quickly said that, please check whether everything is in order. Do we have all the clearances? So I said, right, I didn't check that. So I called back the CMD of Air India in Mumbai and asked him, well, yes, before I even put it up, let me know whether the announcement is in order and should we go ahead with it. He said, no problem, yes, we have all our internal clearances in place. So you go ahead. So I called back ambassador and informed him that, well, we can go ahead. I have got this word of the CMD, who is the CEO of the organization. We don't have to worry now. Ambassador said, are you sure? I said, yes. He called back himself again to the CMD just to check. And then Prime Minister, meanwhile, already was in this process. He was already on the stage and he was in the middle of delivery. And he finished his speech. Somebody somewhere had passed on a chit to him. So he had forgotten to look at it. As he finished his speech, he took out the chit and as he was stepping down, he looked at it and he came back to the podium again and he announced as many of you have requested to Air India, I'm happy to announce on behalf of Air India that the direct flight of Air India will start from December 2, 2015. And there were only 2.5 months in between. And Air India had nothing in place in San Francisco. And when they approached the authorities in the United States of America, and they told that we would like to start the flight on to 2nd December 2015, the American authorities said, yes, why not? 2nd December 2016 sounds very reasonable, because they heard it as 2016. And no, our team said, no, 2016, 2015. They said it has never happened in the history of this country that within 2.5 months or less than 3 months, you have all the clearances in place here. So I was aghast. I said, where are the clearances? So our side said clearances were there on our side. But I must tell you, a team of about 5 people, they stationed themselves, and the first flight took place on the, a designated date on 2nd December 2015, and the direct flight thrice a week is currently functioning at full swing. So this has got nothing to do with what's happening in India, the reform process, how the government is moving, but this is one indicator as to how the decision making and the business approach is shaping in India right now. I'm not going to really go in statistics because you all have, Nishith Desai has prepared such outstanding and brilliant documentation. But just a few observations that I have about the system that's evolving in India. Number one, I feel when I look at this government and personally up to the Prime Minister, he is very keen that the development is no more by default. It's development by design. Government wants certain things, government has certain things in mind, and Prime Minister is personally pushing these things. He is the one, like a warrior, he is going on the business front. I had the pleasure and privilege of observing him when he was here in New York, and we could see that nothing else really was occupying his mind like business. He had these meetings with the CEOs of the Fortune 500 companies, CEOs of the entertainment companies, media companies, and in each he was extremely well prepared. He knew what he wanted, and there was not a single minute to be wasted. But this is really unlike Indian politicians, because we have our own style and culture where in business really isn't business. There's a lot of culture, a lot of history, a lot of pride. So here is a Prime Minister who really is going on, and you can see how, despite the political difficulties that at times he faces domestically, and there are doubting Thomases everywhere, how emphatically he is cruising ahead with his agenda. He has only yesterday the new arrangement for the 100 smart cities, the first phase of them. 10 cities have been awarded 100 crores each by the central government, and these 10 cities have been selected, and they will be given this money to create the smart city infrastructure in them. So this is just one example, but PM has coined it. It sounds a bit like what should I say, slogans, but these slogans are very important so that people know what's the essence of them. So whether it is Make in India, whether it is Digital India, whether it is Namami Gange, which is a cleanliness of the Ganges, whether it is disability related, Make Empowered India, he has these unique phrases that he has found, and he knows that these are the phrases people will identify with, people will participate. The latest one, as you know, is the Startup India and the Stand-Up India. So there is, I always felt when I'm in the United States that if there was one thing lacking in India, it's the environment, and the environment conducive for flowering of individual geniuses, the talent, nurturing of talent. And I think this Prime Minister and this government is absolutely very, very keen to see that it happens in India. and it doesn't go by default. So therefore he is able to phrase every program that he has occupied his mind very effectively and convey it. Second thing, I see a remarkable change, and that change is visible through the Prime Minister's style and the government's, the way it is functioning, is that India is no more shy of expressing itself openly. India is no more defensive about what it's doing or what it wants to convey. India wants to have a major role, and that role is a leading one, in the World Committee of Nations. And this is reflected in Prime Minister's political meetings with various leaders of the country. Only day before yesterday, 3 days back, today is 28th, we celebrated our 67th Republic Day. And on this day, what happened? Of course, India signed a deal for the Rafale aircrafts with France. Holland was our chief guest at the Republic Day function. But along with the Indian troops, we also had French troops marching for the first time, in 200 years on the Rajpath of India. So this is a unique style that Prime Minister has discovered, that he invites the important dignitaries who were not earlier present in India, particularly on the Republic Day and such important days, and he engages them thoroughly. He uses them for business promotion, for strategic dialogues, and getting something done. While these are political meetings, they're also strategic meetings, they're also business meetings. So to me, it's very heartening to see that our Prime Minister is comfortably moving with the world leaders, whether it is Japan, whether it is China, whether it is US, whether it is UK, and he's making his stand very clear. And that stand is really not really unknown to the world. India stands for peace, India stands for harmony, and we are trying to do everything that is possible to make the world a better place. And to that extent, India doesn't want to lag behind. Now, last year we had a unique situation in Yemen, where, according to CNN, what the developed countries were supposed to be doing, evacuating the people from developing countries and other countries, India did. India evacuated 50 countries' people from Yemen last year. This is somewhat noticed for the first time, but India has not done this for the first time. In 1991, the first Gulf War, India evacuated 172,000 people. That is the largest civil evacuation any country has done for its people. So that's the kind of thing we're not really advertising, but time has come now. India is feeling comfortable. It has come out. We have come out of our shell and trying to express ourselves openly and confidently. And I think you would have realized the world is listening to India more and more. Next, two important points, emerging trends that I see is interest among the states in terms of business development. I'm working, for example, and obviously the embassies and consulates are playing an increasingly important role in forging these economic and business links. I'm, for example, working on a project whereby an Indian American is trying to help us to develop master plan for districts, business master plan for districts. For example, Maharashtra has several districts, so we select a cluster of districts. Then we take an assessment, full assessment of what are the resources available, infrastructure available in terms of road, electricity, water, the crop pattern, the rain pattern, the weather. We see what is the existing industry there, and we create a model whereby we have a number of small industries developed based on the local infrastructure, local manpower, and local resources. Now, this is something that I wouldn't have imagined that a diplomat would be doing to connect the state and the investor. And this is at no cost to the state government. The Indian American, for his desire to give back, will conduct the first survey, make the study available free of charge to the state government, and then he will also help through friends like you to bring investment in the state. So this is a new phenomena that you see that is emerging, whether it is Maharashtra or Madhya Pradesh. The chief ministers have visited United States and many other countries. They are participating very actively in festivals and exhibitions all over the world, and they are also hosting events like Vibrant Gujarat, Vibrant Maharashtra, and such like in all states. Last point is about the Indian diaspora. About 30 to 32 million of us are now either residing outside or have become citizens of other countries. Now this is, as you can see, there are at least 30 countries in the world where more than 10% of their population is of Indian origin. This is a big strength. Part of it used to be what we call the brain drain, but now the same brain drain has become popularly known as brain gain. And this community is now happy to give back. They're certainly giving back to their respective countries. As you must have seen, Chandrika Tandon and her husband, they donated $100 million to New York University's Engineering and Technology Department last year. There are a number of such examples that you see. But now there is also a desire to give back to India. And not giving back necessarily in terms of money, but also in terms of expertise, in terms of investment, in terms of technology, in terms of new ideas and concepts. This is an area that, in my view, is not very well understood within India. But Prime Minister, as I said, leads from the front. So he has understood this concept, whether it was Madison Square here or elsewhere in San Francisco or other countries. Whenever he has made a deliberate effort to engage the Indian diaspora. And his message has been very clear. Come back to India, have one foot in India, have one foot here. This is going to help you. You should not regret it later. Right now is the time. That's the message. And we see that there is tremendous interest. I must say that we've not been able to fully channelize this interest effectively, but hopefully government also is creating various channels so that there aren't difficulties between. Already there is some infrastructure in terms of OCI cards. These are the cards that give certain rights to all overseas Indians who have taken foreign citizenship, short of voting, short of buying agricultural and plantation property, all other rights are on par with an Indian citizen. This gives a tremendous leverage to those people who have left the country and taken nationality or residences outside. There is something called Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs, which is being revamped now by the Prime Minister, and this particular ministry is likely to play a very, very active role now as a part of the Ministry of External Affairs. So my request to you is continue your interest. I know that you are here because you have an interest. I meet a lot of people, and I can see there is a sustained interest in India. It's a big market, and those advantages about India, I'm sure those will be shared by you. There will be difficulties, wherever there is business, there are opportunities as well as challenges, and you are experts, so you know how to find a way out of it. I would wish to thank you for inviting me and honoring me here. And yes, at the consulate, we are always ready to listen to you. We don't claim to be big experts, but we understand the pulse of our country and in which direction it wants to go. So we can at least make you acquainted with those things which are not necessarily temporal, but spiritual in a sense. Thank you so much.
So thank you, Ambassador Mulle. It was wonderful. I think what I should have been speaking, I think you already covered almost everything in such a short time. And a few points here. You really came up with some interesting stuff, to even as simple as starting a direct flight from New Delhi to San Francisco. All said and done, it's very helpful. It's very difficult. Even today, we hope you do the same thing from Bombay to San Francisco, because it's difficult for us to take one jaunt and then second jaunt and so on and so forth. Another thing on the airline, I'm just taking advantage of your presence there, if you don't mind. And we had this Air India flight starting at night and coming in the morning, which is excellent. I've been doing one-day trips to US as well because of that. But lately what has happened, the flight timings have changed to leave at about 4:20 or 4:15 in the afternoon. So what happens from morning, about 12 o'clock you have to stop work and you have to go to airport and prepare and all those kind of stuff. So what happens, I'm no longer able to make a short trip. And if flight timing originally was 9:15 in the night, and it was getting about the same time in India as well. If something like that could be done, that would be very, very helpful. A lot of people who traveled with us, mostly business people, they seem to have dropped out of Air India flights. And this is just feedback. So if somewhere along the line we can do that, we can spend whole day here and then take flight in the evening. So that's first thing. Second thing, maybe I can just share with you some pleasant news that have happened in recent times. We completed our 25 years of our firm, sir, and about 25 years ago when I set up this law firm, so we are the first law firm to get out of India and work around the world. Because globalization was, in 1991 India opened up, and that was good time to start. I can go on a long story. But environment at that time was very different. In fact, my wife Swati, we used to come here and talk. Sometimes we had 2 people, 3 people in an audience. I think today we see house full, and I think India is very exciting. So 25 years of our firm. Second, we have completed 15 years of our Palo Alto office now, which again is another small milestone. 10 years we celebrated of our Singapore office, about 4 years of now Munich office, and of course we just launched a New York office. So our head, I would call a brain, not the head of the office, the brain of the office, Mansi Seth is here. Mansi, you can stand up and show your face to everybody. You showed it earlier, but thank you so much for taking a lead. And we practice only Indian law, sir, here, and always work with the local firm on the US law. So our specialty is we are India-centric global law firm. Second thing, we are a research-based law firm. So we spend almost 40% of our firm's time on research, academics, thought leadership, and stuff like that. And when I started law firm, obviously there were a number of firms which are 100-year history. They could look back with pride, and obviously new kid on the block. What can you do? So we thought that it will be nice to support the other firms and work together in the form of co-petition, what we call cooperate and compete, but focus on the futuristic things. So we said, okay, others have strength of looking back 100 years. Possibly we can look forward 100 years and see what's likely to happen over a period of next 3, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now, and visualize what will be future legal or tax issues. So when the situation comes, then we are somewhat ready to meet with. So in the process, we believe that every technology, every new business model, every social, political development brings along with it a new legal or tax problem. And you can show that. So we started working on those kind of things. So for example, long ago we specialized, apart from e-commerce, Wi-Fi, WiMAX, quantum computing, fuel cells, nanotechnology, blockchain and bitcoins. We have a specialized practice group on that. We have a specialized practice group on privatization of space, because a lot of things are happening in the Internet of Things, on medical devices, and each one brings a new legal or tax issue. And what happens today, as you rightly said, things move so fast that suddenly you are caught unaware as to how to manage this situation. And generally what happens, and law firm model, all of you know how skewed it is, right? That, when new matter comes, you learn at the cost of client. Really, you should be learning at your own cost. So we invest a lot of time and energy and money into research, but our law firm model, as I was saying, is skewed Because if we spend more time doing clients' work, if we put more people on the job, we are more rewarded. But if you do the same work in less time, with less people, they are not rewarded. So tendency often is to pad up the hours, or not everyone, but I'm just saying generally there is some distortion at times. So we said, how can you do more work in less time? And that can be done only through the research kind of work. If you prepare yourself ahead of time, 5, 10, 15 years of, what you call development, then you can add 1 cent value to the client's work. Like for example, in next 10 years, to drive car will be possibly illegal because driverless car will be considered more safe, right? In next 5 to 7 years, maybe robotics and automation is going to displace at least 30% of the workforce in manufacturing sector. How do you deal with that? Today you know that that's going to happen more or less. All the studies show. So why not reskill them from today and redeploy in the areas that you're going to expand in the future? So stuff like that are becoming important, and law becomes even a strategic asset. If you think of law, it's just not a tool, but in our view, it is also a strategic asset, sir. And you can use law to create, new markets. You can create or even break the barriers. You can do a lot of things. You can change the destinies of the country. For example, one of the interesting projects we are currently doing for 2 or 3 projects in Mauritius we are helping Mauritius government an entire innovation framework. We are developing, helping Prime Minister's office there on developing 2030 vision and a number of other kind of stuff. So we believe that if we use law, we can at least change the world for the better to the extent possible within our thing. Now, given, as I mentioned, that next one. Yeah, this is a research center now. The research model has become now a distinctive feature of our firm. So we are putting a whole campus in Mumbai now. And this sometime when you come, we'll be happy to take it in the construction. All shell is ready. By end of this year or early next quarter, it should be up and running. And my personal invitation to each one of you sitting here. And so there's a campus there. We are, this is all one of the facilities, but I don't want to take too much time on that. But research has enabled us to innovate a lot of things. Now, most people think, what about innovation in a law firm? We are boring community, and what do we do? But I think there is so much innovation that is to be done in the legal field as well as in the professional services firm, and so we have done a lot of interesting things. I'm not going to bore with all those things, and what has happened is that we have innovated a lot of new instruments or new ways of doing things, new business models. So we ended up getting Financial Times London's most innovative law firm, Indian law firm, and also in Asia. Last year, and again consistently, consecutively, second year also we won the same. So it is not at India level now, we are talking about at least a regional level. It is acknowledgement. It is not that others are not innovative. We take with this thing with all humility. And that's how we have been. And of course, as I mentioned, now with all the kind of things that have been happening in India, one other thing that has happened recently is that Merger Market, one of the most prestigious journals, has described us as the fastest growing mergers and acquisition law firm in India, and we increased by 219% or so. So in deal value, etc. I won't go into boring details, but I think these are some of the interesting things that have happened to us, sir. And your support has been so good. I'm really, really delighted that you came here and talk to us about the macros. Throughout the day, I'll be talking. So don't worry about it. I'm not going to disappoint you because I know that you might want any of my input at any time. Feel free to. I'll be here moderating the sessions. But what I would like to do at this point in time is, if there are any questions for Ambassador Muley or me, we'll be happy to take, so that we can make this whole program a bit more interactive and interesting, exciting. So that would be very helpful. So feel free, don't be shy in asking any question that you have. You can embarrass us, no problem. And any question, anything else? Yes, please tell your name, organization, and
Ravi Cheruvu from UBS. My question to you is, could you perhaps comment on the judicial system and how the system is designed to protect any investors' interests from non-US investors?
Yes, I think everybody knows about horror stories on Indian litigation or legal system, right? But there are very interesting things that have been happening lately. One thing is that India is going to establish commercial courts now. So one can get their cases expedited, especially large value cases would be expedited very, very fast, number one. Second, arbitration has really taken off in Indian context, especially on arbitration because of the long delays in the courts. People have been, now using more and more Singapore International Arbitration Center. In fact, I sit on the board of SISE as well. And of course, similarly, London Court and ICC and all those ones. So arbitration is the way to go. In the US, I know a lot more people prefer to go to courts because that system is more efficient and perhaps more cost effective, I don't know. But in India, we are more in favor of arbitration. Judiciary is very concerned about, the delays that have happened. But if you see, there are some contradictions at times you see, very strange though. And for example, Vodafone case, we are part of it. Within one and a half year, it got at least decided by the court. Okay, then government brought in retrospective amendment, and those stories are very different. But all said and done, the case was decided very fast. Same thing happened on the Mauritius case. Within 1.5 to 2 years, Supreme Court disposed of. So large value cases and urgent cases are taken up by the court at times. So those are islands, I would say, not really kind of a complete answer to your question. But there is serious consideration on how to eliminate litigation, especially in tax. There have been huge amount of litigation, but I believe the way in which now it is happening, government is taking more and more pragmatic view and say, okay, we will not appeal. Okay, and even things are also changing. At one time, what used to happen, and the tax officers of promotions were also linked to collections made. So willy-nilly they would be compelled to collect tax, even if that amount had to be refunded later on. So that's how we created some distortion. But I think Prime Minister made a statement some time ago saying that now incentive to the tax officers would be available only when the case is finally approved at the Supreme Court or highest level, not at the lower level. So, there is no longer that incentive to unnecessarily inflict some kind of high-pitched assessment, what we call, or penalties and stuff like that. I think there have been some change, significant change, and a lot of cases, with the systemic changes that are being brought in, will be at one go, hundreds and thousands of cases will be disappearing. That is what is the thing that is happening, and hopefully in this budget we'll listen to the finance minister end of the month, February. You'll see some interesting changes that are coming up, including both on the administrative side. I'm saying that it's not that it's a perfect world, but at the same time, things, if they are in the right direction at this point in time. So, that is my long answer to your question. Any other? Yes, Avinash, good to see you here. Thank you.
Nishith, first of all, many, many congratulations. I know this event is as much a panel, but also a celebration of the opening of your New York office and your 25th anniversary. So my personal congratulations to you. And it's very nice to see Ambassador Mooley. I will say, the one thing you and I have in common is that Ambassador Mooley graced the opening of our New York offices at the same time. So it's really nice to see you.
Thank you.
My question is that there have been recent initiatives undertaken by the Modi government to encourage startups. If I invite you and Ambassador Mooley to make any comments on that and tell us a little bit about those initiatives. Thanks.
I couldn't get your question, but I believe you asked something on startups, right?
It's my understanding that there have been recent initiatives by the Indian government to encourage investments in startups. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit about that.
A lot. Actually,
Thank you.
Just to step back, I didn't mention, but we have been participating in a lot of public policy initiative in India. I have never had so many invitations from the ministers to make suggestions and meet them. This Monday, I'm meeting Finance Minister Jayant Siha and also Mr. Amitabh Kant on impact investments. And because that is a huge opportunity in India. India social business provides you a good platform to what you call innovate things. If Silicon Valley is a hub for innovation or technological innovation, India is a hub for social innovation and social business innovation because the cost of scaling up is not high and cost of failure is very low. So it's nice to experiment in a number of different ways. A lot of new business models are coming up, and impact investment is a major part for changing the paradigm. So again, I'm meeting also Gujarat's gift city. Some of you, a whole new international financial center is coming up in Gujarat. Again, that's where we are working, and on the venture capital side, we have been working very closely with SEBI. On private equity side, again, changes are coming up. So there is not a single dull moment because there is so much happening and so much needs to be done, and therefore, it's all 365 days around the clock, and, but people are, at least I feel that, the ministers are willing to listen. First thing is listen. How much you do is separate thing, but if you are not listen is first frustration. So first thing is listen. And I've seen that in 1 year's time, a lot of interesting changes have come. They are not exactly what you perhaps expect. But my colleague, Webunar+RoundTable, he is my partner in charge of technology and private equity practice. He was himself a part. He met with President of India and Prime Minister also. He had a special meeting, I believe, Weber. So, so maybe you want to add anything very quickly so that,
maybe I will add in the panel.
Yeah.
So I'll add in the panel. I'll tell
you'll do in the panel. Sorry, I'll not take a thunder from you. So maybe you may want to make some comments, on anything, litigation as well, startup or anything else.
I must say that as a diplomat, we have to work much harder with this Prime Minister. But at the same time, he's also keen that we should proactively simplify things. And in that, whatever suggestions are made by public, he takes them very seriously. Just to give you one or two small examples, since he came, he has introduced for the United States what we call online or e-tourist visa. Now this has straight away reduced my visa work by 20%. And those who are, do not wish to see me or my face, they go online, fill in very few details. There are 6 to 7 entries to be made, and you get visa in 72 hours online. You do not have to do anything. It's just like your, boarding pass or air ticket, and you present that and you are in. Now these are small things like simplification of PIO and OCI cards, which has saved the hassles from the Indian American community. This has encouraged us to take initiatives at our own level. So as a result, we have fixed turnaround period for every service that we render. For example, New York Consulate, we render 250,000 consular services annually, second largest in the world, and first among all the consulates of India all over the world. So we have a turnaround period. If it is emergency visa, 30 minutes to 45 minutes. If it is normal visa, 1 day. Passport, 5 days flat. Any grievance related letters, 3 days resolution. This way or that way. So this is a new thing for government. And if I am doing it here at a very small, minuscule level, there are people doing it at a bigger scale. I think The biggest change I would say that Prime Minister has been able to bring is change of mindset among the bureaucracy within the maybe Council of Ministers, that whatever we do has to be relevant to the country, relevant to the people, relevant to the economy, relevant to the lifting of standard of living of people. To me, that is the biggest message that comes out of this government. So whether it is Jan Dhan Yojana, which in one stroke, for example, brought millions of people, in the bank account holding. Now it is a very ordinary measure in a way, and we wonder why it has not been done in the past. But that tremendously improves access to small credits of these very individually marginal people, marginal farmers. And then from such simple schemes, then you go to the national level where PM wants to digitize India, PM wants to increase the manufacturing in India, and you see the results are very much there for us to see. India's business ranking has improved. India has emerged now as the first destination for investment worldwide. Actual improvements in FDI as well as FIR are phenomenal. Growth rate has been 7.3% last year. This year it is expected to be 7.5%, or at least between 7 to 7.5%. So these are things for you to see. Yes, there are hurdles on GST. There are maybe hurdles on some other things. In my view, this is a matter of time. What is important is the government is right on track of reforms, and reforms is a kind of a continuum. It's not that by such and such date you finish all the reforms. New things are coming, new ideas are coming. India is now a major startup policy, for example. So that way, I think this government has been very, very proactive. And again, in India, for a government to appear business friendly was not a norm. This government has broken those taboos also, and having very proactive engagement with the business community.
In fact, all of us have learned a lot of lessons from what happened in the last 4, 5, 6 years, including the previous government also learned. So next time, hopefully, it will also do better, if at all. So, any other question? Very quick. Avinash, can I take this? I think women first, right? Tell your name and organization and,
Yes, hi, I'm Amy Davidson. I'm with the Climate Group, and I run the Climate Group here in North America, but we also have offices in India. So I just love, can you just touch upon what you see the opportunity for clean energy growth in India? And maybe you covered it earlier, but I arrived a little late.
Something on the clean energy? Yeah.
The opportunity for India to scale clean energy in terms of
I think only opportunities in clean energy, I would think, And there is a lot of development that has been going on, particularly on the renewable and also on the energy saving devices in terms of, even because of oil prices, there has been some benefit as well. So we see that there is huge opportunity. In fact, solar is picking up like anything. Solar prices have gone down. Perhaps, I think Mr. Sia is here, is a cousin or brother. He is in the Renew Power, and he can tell a little bit more. But it would be, in the break or later on in the cocktail, you can talk to him. But definitely on the energy side, there has been a lot of changes, a lot of improvement that is we are seeing. Because in the traditional power sector, we had a lot of environmental and ecological issues. So that's where, there are some problems, but at least the new energy, everybody is high on the renewables, yes. And investment is almost 100% possible. Foreign investment, almost approvals are no longer, So I think that is the thing. And so can you be very quick? Thank you. Just
very quick question. Actually, not a question, but an inquiry. This is okay. So we all came here 25 years ago and to promote Indian businesses out here. My inquiry is with reference to how much autonomy in real time or real sense have the banks and financial institutions have got now in the new dispensation to act and take decisions on their own rather than running to the Ministry of Finance all the time, which was the experience of India during my generation. I'll put it that way.
In the, see, there are two things. Of course, the nationalized banks have certain limitations. Still, they are overcoming those kind of things. But if you look at the private sector banks, I think they are really vibrant. You see, most of the banks, whether recent ones, whether Kotak or Yes Bank, or everyone has been doing a brilliant job. So, you know, earlier banks have their own NPAs and other issues we can go into at a length, but at this point in time, I would not like to go deep. But you know, including the certain laws that were introduced for, you know, for distressed assets, and those kind of new structures are coming up. We'll be, as we go along, we will be happy to take this question. My colleague Nishith Desai is also dealing a lot on those things, so we'll be very, very happy to work around that during the course of the day. Because we are slightly running out of time, we exceeded our time a little bit more, but we thought it would be good to have your advantage of your presence, and we really appreciate you for your kind words, and thank you so much for being with us again.
Thank you all.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you. Yeah. So may I present a small token of appreciation, Mansi, if you can just.
Thank you so much.
You can see the face. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.